from your local news leader. This is 13 News Daybreak.
Good morning, everybody. TGIF. Look at that beautiful start to our day, huh, Vanessa?
So pretty. The sky clearing out there. And, you know, guys, you're going to need your coats. That's something you definitely are going to need today. We're going to talk more about it.
It's a nice picture. You just can't feel what it's like outside. Good to be with you on this Friday morning. I'm LaSalle Blanks.
And I'm Vanessa Coria. Let's get right over to Craig for more details on your weekend forecast. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, guys. It is going to be a chilly weekend, and really the next 7 days it's going to be pretty chilly as well. Temperatures right now are in the 30s. You look inland, it's pretty cold around Ahoskie, 30 degrees there, 40 in Newport News, 41 up at Melfa. It's currently 35 in Portsmouth and 36 in Virginia Beach. As we take a look at that coast right now, beautiful as we're getting ready for another nice sunrise. We'll have it for you coming up. We're about half an hour out, about 35 minutes from the official sunrise, so we'll be watching. Right now, the winds are west at 7 miles per hour, but generally today, the winds are going to come around to the northwest and the north at about 10 miles per hour. We could see occasional gusts to near 20. Here's a look at your day ahead. 41 degrees around 9 a.m. We'll be up to 47 by noon. Definitely a day where you'll want to keep a jacket with you. And if you've got outdoor activities through the afternoon, you may even want a hat with you. It's just going to be a little cool. Sky is partly sunny, at times a little more sunshine, at other times a few more clouds. I'll be back with a chilly weekend forecast, and I'll show you what I'm tracking with Futurecast for the middle of next week. Another big storm system. Stay tuned.
All right.
Hey, Craig, thank you.
We'll be watching that, but right now we're watching that ride to work for you on the 13 News Traffic Network. We begin on Interstate 264 right there at Frederick Boulevard. This is traffic heading toward the downtown tunnel, and right now it's looking great.
64 Bay Avenue here in Norfolk as we switch to that camera on the 13 News Traffic Network, or at least we're trying to. Well, take my word for it, no significant problems out there. See? Ask and you shall receive. There you go. And that one is a little blurry, but soon it'll come into focus.
Coming into focus for us right now.
Hampton. 64
right here at the 664 interchange. Of course, as LaSalle said, in Hampton, there's a lot of traffic out there, but it's moving very nicely. And we do want to let you know we have a number of bridge lifts and openings this morning, and they are as follows. The Steel at 7:15, 8:15, 8:45, and the JRB at both 7 and 9:30 this morning. So now you know, and you can plan accordingly.
Absolutely. And now let's get to the news. We begin with the very latest on the sequestration deadline. It's midnight tonight. Those harsh spending cuts are set to take effect then if our lawmakers can't come up with some kind of deal. And
with most lawmakers already out of the Capitol for the weekend, chances for a deal are slim. ABC's Preeti Arla is in Washington with the latest for us. Thank you, Preeti. A lot of you are concerned about the effects of sequestration on the local economy and on your families. And you're telling us all about your concerns on our Facebook page.
Sandra has been checking out what you have to say, and you have to say a lot.
Yeah, that is true, guys.
Well, you are, of course, invited to join us tonight for a special live program looking at the impact of sequestration. Our experts will break it down for you as the president edges closer and closer to signing the order. Sequestration, Finding Our Future, airs at 7 tonight right here on WVEC.
In other news this morning, a pastor is arrested. Chesapeake police say he faces very serious charges. Computer solicitation of a child under the age of 15. 32-year-old Hayden Conrad was arrested yesterday. We're told he's the pastor of Chesapeake Avenue United Methodist Church. He had been a volunteer chaplain for the Chesapeake Police Department, a position that was taken away when he was arrested. He's scheduled to appear in court next week.
Police need your help this morning to identify 4 people whose remains were found in 2 Hampton Road cities. The medical examiner's office is using technology to recreate the faces of the 4 men using just their skeletons. 2 were found in Chesapeake, the other 2 in Newport News, and you're seeing them on your screens right now. The hope is that by putting these images and DNA in a national database, the information will help someone to identify these men. If you recognize any of these people, you're asked to contact the Chief Medical Examiner's Office. You can also head to WVEC.com for more information.
6:06, still ahead for you here on 13 News Daybreak.
The hotel that a gruesome discovery in a hotel water tank is back in the headlines this morning. Find out why that same hotel is in hot water once again.
Plus, we know a lot of you are concerned about the sequester. We just heard some of your comments on Facebook. In just minutes, we'll take you live to Capitol Hill for insight from our 13 News reporter who's watching Congress for us today.
And maybe this live sky view will take the edge off a little bit of stress right now for you. It's beautiful at the ocean front, but chilly, and it's going to stay cold through the weekend. I'm going to talk about that in my forecast right after the break. There's a 7-day forecast, and I'll spend some more time talking about those rain chances coming up.
All right, 6:12.
Still ahead on 13 News Daybreak on this Friday morning.
As we face the sequestration deadline, what is Congress doing to try to fix this, try to come up with a deal with the president today? Well, the answer might surprise you.
We're also checking out your traffic. This is the JRB, looking good on your Friday morning where there's work over the weekend. We're going to talk more about that coming up in the next hour of Daybreak.
6:15, everybody. Let's check your Friday morning ride back to work. All right, 13 News Traffic Network is showing us the 64-464 interchange out in Chesapeake. Look at that sky, though.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's a beautiful shot.
Beautiful sunrise. It's cold out there, though.
Traffic's looking good, too.
Yeah, let's mention that.
Let's go down to Virginia Beach now, 264 right there at Great Neck Road. It's a little heavier out there, but traffic's moving very nicely.
Ooh, this is the big trouble spot this morning. The Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. Traffic is stopped eastbound. I-64 looks like it's crawling along just a little bit out there, but that's real close to the tube. 64 at Mallory.
And we're checking the bridge openings and lifts for you today. There are a number of them, and here they are. The Steel Bridge at 7:15, 8:15, and 8:45.
And the James River Bridge in 45 minutes at 7 this morning, and another one at 9:30.
Let's get back to the news now. A California hotel is facing a lawsuit after a body is found in the building's water tank. Two former guests at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles have filed a class action lawsuit. Police found the body of a 21-year-old woman floating in the hotel's water tanks back on February 19th. They say it had been in there for more than 2 weeks. Guests drank, bathed, and brushed their teeth with the water from the water tank. The lawsuit claims the hotel did not provide water fit for human ingestion or use. The Los Angeles Public Health Department tested the water but found no harmful bacteria in the tank or in the pipes.
All right, now look at this mess in Miami. A tractor trailer caught fire. This accident shut down part of the Florida Turnpike. The fire started after a vehicle collided with that tractor trailer last night. Both drivers are expected to be okay. Firefighters eventually managed to put out the flames and clear the wreckage, but there was a big old backup as a result. All right, now back to our big story, the one many of you are thinking about today, the sequestration deadline. It is now midnight tonight. The automatic $85 billion in spending cuts set to take effect could happen real soon if there's no deal.
Yeah, the president and congressional leaders will meet today to try to come up with a last-minute deal. And 13 News reporter Dave Cassidy is standing by live in Capitol Hill. Dave, we've known sequestration was coming for a year and a half now, so what are the chances of a breakthrough in just one day today?
Today, Vanessa and LaSalle, I'd say close to zero because
A lot of very angry Americans right now. Thank you, Dave, for that
All right,
live
Dave,
report.
thank you very much. And what we're trying to accomplish this morning, later here on Daybreak, is one of our local representatives. We want to see if we can have a Q&A with him to find out what can happen at this last minute.
Yep, we'll have that for you coming up. Right now, we have your weekend weather forecast, and Craig says cooler temperatures are coming our way.
It is going to be a chilly weekend. We want to get the kids dressed for the bus stop. It's going to stay chilly Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and next Wednesday.
Oh,
Thanks,
it's a
Craig.
broken record.
Thursday. That's all right. We'll see a chance for that wet weather on Wednesday. I think most of it should clear out by early Thursday, but I may introduce some more showers Thursday if that system slows down a little bit.
Stay tuned for June when it warms up.
Yeah. Thank you,
6:22.
Craig.
Up next here on 13 News Daybreak this morning.
Want to keep your info safer on your smartphone? Hear how and when you could get a security upgrade from Samsung.
And do the big banks owe you a check? Cha-ching. Find out why lenders may have to pay up. Some of your favorites at McDonald's may be out of here, coming off the menu.
And your smartphone may not only be getting smarter, but also tougher to hack. Sandra's back to explain in your Consumer Alert headlines.
Hey, guys. Well, and chicken wings might be another addition, guys.
For breakfast.
You never know.
Thanks,
You can eat chicken wings anytime. Thank you, Sandra. Here's what's up next on 13 News Daybreak, beginning for you at 6:30. It's a chilly start to the weekend, but it's not just the temps Craig's watching. What's coming our way early next week? That's also in his forecast.
We are watching the clock. We're waking up to that sequestration deadline day. We'll outline what will happen today to try to avoid those massive cuts. We will also hear from lawmakers in the know coming up.
We're also checking that ride to work for you as you head out on this Friday morning. Looking good heading into downtown Norfolk, but how about where you're going for your Friday ride? Stick with us. You're watching Daybreak.
From your local news leader, this is 13 News Daybreak.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 13 News Daybreak. This is the day Hampton Roads and much of the nation has been bracing. It's been circled on the calendars. March 1st, it is the sequestration deadline day. Billions of dollars in automatic federal budget cuts could have a sweeping effect on our area. We have special coverage this half hour. We're going to hear from Congressman Bobby Scott about this. We'll have an interview with him coming up in just a moment.
Yeah, I'm Vanessa. He's LaSalle. Let's get right over to Craig and talk about your weekend forecast. That's also something folks always talk about on Friday mornings. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning. The weekend just about here, and the weekend generally is looking pretty good. Certainly for your ride into work, no problems with the weather this morning. It is going to be chilly. Temperatures are in the 30s right now for most areas. 40 in Newport News and down around Manio. We have mid-30s for Virginia Beach out through Wakefield and down into Elizabeth City. Skies are mainly clear to partly cloudy at the ocean front. We do have a few more clouds right now over downtown Norfolk and looking back to the south towards Portsmouth. Beautiful this morning, but it is chilly and it is going to stay chilly today and through the weekend, really over the next 7 days. Some snow back in the central part of the country, not a problem for us today. We'll find the mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures up to 47 by noon, 50 for an afternoon high, and then as I mentioned, even cooler through the weekend with mid-40s for your Saturday and Sunday. Stay tuned. I am tracking this cold air mass. I'll let you know how long it's going to stay. I'll also talk about another storm system hitting our region next week. That's coming up.
All right, thanks, Craig. It's time for us to check the 13 News Traffic Network. We'll start for you with an accident that's causing this backup on Interstate 64 right there at Chesapeake Boulevard. This is traveling in the westbound lanes. As you can see, it's a very slow go. No word on whether there are injuries involved, but we can tell you, you can see the brake lights, and it will be a slow roll for you if you're headed 64 westbound near Chesapeake Boulevard. Over
in Chesapeake, this is live at the high-rise bridge. I-64 out there looking good for you. No backups, no accidents, no problems there.
How about the HRBT from the Hampton side? Because you know we have you covered on both sides of the water. Actually, this is 64 near Granby Street. That's what we're looking at right now. And the traffic out there is looking great.
In our next traffic update, we'll check out lifts and openings for you because there are some. Let's get to the news now. This is it. Sequestration deadline day. $85 billion in automatic federal budget cuts are set to kick in. Those cuts could have a ripple effect throughout the Hampton Roads economy, which, as you know, depends so heavily on military spending.
Today, the president will meet the congressional leaders. The hope is they can strike a deal by midnight tonight. But since most of Congress has already gone home for the weekend, is sequestration on track to go into effect by the end of the day? 13
News reporter Carl Leimer begins our coverage live at Naval Station Norfolk with a look at what this means for Virginia and for Hampton Roads. Carl, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
All right, the cuts are drastic and could affect a lot of different things.
For example, TSA screening. The TSA would reduce its frontline workforce, which would substantially increase your wait times at airport security checkpoints.
The cuts could also affect food safety. The Food and Drug Administration could conduct 2,100 fewer inspections at domestic and foreign facilities that manufacture food products.
And funding for children's vaccinations would be cut. Here in Virginia, around 3,530 fewer children will receive vaccines for multiple diseases. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we will talk live with Democratic Congressman Bobby Scott about efforts to try and stop the sequestration, stop those cuts. He will be live on 13 News Daybreak within 10 minutes, so keep watching. And tonight, 13 News will air a special report called Sequestration, Finding Our Future. 13 News anchors Regina Mobley and David Allen will join our military reporter Mike Gooding and Washington reporter Sue Turner. We'll also have a panel of experts. They will break down what could happen. That's tonight at 7 right here on 13 News.
It is 6:35. Other news for you now. A Navy medical ship will make Naval Station Norfolk its new home
today.
Talking
about the USNS Comfort.
Yes.
Love that name. It offers medical and surgical care for deployed forces, as well as hospital services for disaster relief. Sandra's back in from the newsroom to tell us more. They do such great work, don't they?
They really do, guys.
Several people are in police custody this morning following a shootout between police and a suspect in Newport News. This was a SWAT situation. Police say gunfire broke out when detectives went to serve a warrant to search a rooming house for drugs. It happened around 7 in the 2000 block of Chestnut Avenue. Investigators say police returned fire after someone from inside the home pulled the trigger. No one was hurt. Several people who were inside that house were detained.
The search for a Newport News woman and her alleged abductor is over this morning. Police say 19-year-old Keon Savage was abducted by her ex-boyfriend, Jamira Walton, yesterday afternoon. Witnesses say Savage was forced into a car in the Food Lion parking lot on Jefferson Avenue in Denby. Police say when he learned he was on the news and wanted by police, Walton turned himself in. Savage is fine. Walton is in custody.
Here's what's up next on 13 News Daybreak on this Friday morning, just in time for this morning's commute. A new exit ramp opens on Interstate 64. Could make getting around one of our busiest areas a whole lot easier. We'll have the details.
And speaking of getting around, we'll check traffic for you on this Friday morning. And boy, this is one big trouble spot.
An accident at Chesapeake Boulevard right there on Interstate 64 westbound.
Keep watching it. If you want some good news, check out Mr. Sunshine.
I got to show you this again. Another beautiful sunrise at the coast. Loving it. Hopefully this, again, takes the edge off what could be a stressful Friday for some of you. The weekend's just about here, and I'll tell you exactly what you can expect and what I'm tracking coming up. Here's the rest of the 7-day forecast. As we look over the next 7 days, temperatures staying chilly. That wet weather Wednesday into Thursday.
Thank you, Craig. Let's check that ride to work right now.
It is a difficult one for some people out there. Here's the 13 News Traffic Network, and this is one of the tough spots this morning, everybody. No matter where you point the camera, you're seeing backups. Well, except right there.
Yeah, there's a disabled vehicle out there. That's why it's so bad. 564
indicate 3A, and look at this.
This is a slow go at the HRBT from the peninsula side, heading through the HRBT to the south side, right there near Settlers Landing.
Another traffic trouble spot is I-64 westbound at Chesapeake Boulevard here in Norfolk. There's an accident there. You are backed up in many places, Hampton Roads. We have some lifts and openings coming up as well. Watch your time at 6:45 right now. Steel Bridge, 7:15, 8:15, 8:45, and the JRB, the James River Bridge, at 7 and at 9:30. You're up to date.
And if you use Interstate 64 in Norfolk, you may see something new this morning. VDOT crews say they opened the new Norview Avenue exit ramp just in time for the morning rush. The new ramp is expected to do away with the traffic troubles the old exit caused for airport traffic. The project manager tells 13 News bad engineering forced drivers to compete for space on the current stretch in between the on and off ramps.
A dangerous weave that was occurring with the acceleration and deceleration of cars coming on and off the interstate underneath the overpass.
Improved lighting and a new on-ramp will also be added as part of the plans. All right, guys, we want to get back to our top story from this morning. It's what people have been talking about now for weeks and weeks, in fact, months. Today is the deadline for sequestration, those automatic federal budget cuts set to kick in later today.
Joining us on the phone right now is local Democratic Congressman Bobby Scott. Congressman Scott, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
LaSalle, good morning.
What does your gut tell you at 6:46 on this deadline day? Is a deal going to get done?
Well, the one threshold question is whether or not there are going to be any new revenues. You can't cut $1.2 trillion out of the budget without any revenues to help offset the damage. The number is too big. The across-the-board cuts are mindless and will be painful. But you can't have it. You can't come up with an alternative, and that's why you haven't seen any alternatives. Nobody's come up with another way to cut $1.2 trillion. In non-defense discretionary, we're already at the lowest point we've been as a percentage of GDP since before Medicare, and so you just can't cut that kind of money out of the budget any intelligent kind of way.
All right, so the cuts are going to happen. What you're saying is that there's no intelligent way for them to reach an agreement today.
Well, the intelligent way to do it would be to do it with to come to $1.2 trillion with a significant amount of revenues. Now, to put this in perspective, we cut taxes $3.9 trillion just a couple of weeks ago. $3.9 trillion. We need 1.2 to totally offset the sequester. So what we're doing is trying to pay off the tax cuts we passed just a few weeks ago. Now, people have gotten to the idea that tax cuts don't have anything to do with the budget. I think we're finally realizing that if you cut taxes, you have to pay for it some kind of way.
Representative Scott, what about the Republican argument that they'll say, well, why don't you cut money in expenditures for social programs?
Well, that's the alternative. The cuts right now do not go into Medicare benefits or Social Security at all. You could reduce the cuts in defense and non-defense discretionary spending by cutting Medicare and Social Security. All of this discussion, just remember, is to pay for the tax cuts.
You know what, though? We're looking at Facebook comments from our viewers this morning, and we hear your argument. We've heard the Republicans' argument, and I'm just going to politely paraphrase a couple of these comments. Why don't members of Congress get off their backsides and come together and do something?
Well, one of the things that people have encouraged us to do is to compromise. That's what got us in trouble to begin with. One side wanted about $3.5 trillion in tax cuts that were not going to be paid for then, would be paid for later. The other side wanted $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, and we compromised at $3.9 trillion. Well, we couldn't afford the $3.5. What we need to do is to force people to make the choices and articulate the choices. I don't know how many people would have supported the tax cuts if they knew that this is where we were going to be just a couple of weeks later. And there's nothing going on today that wasn't absolutely predictable on January 1st when we voted for $3.9 trillion in tax cuts. The alarm should have gone off on New Year's Eve before we voted for those tax cuts.
All right, Congressman Scott, we thank you for joining us this morning and sharing your insight on what's happening in Washington with the sequester. Of course, America is watching, and Hampton Roads will be affected, so we'll keep following it.
All right, Congressman Scott, thank you very much. On to other news now. Homeowners who lost their homes to foreclosure could soon be getting some compensation. A foreclosure settlement between the government and 13 banks will spread billions in cash among millions of borrowers beginning in April. Eligible borrowers don't need to take any action. The banks will do all the work. Customers will be contacted by the end of the month.
Time check now, 6:50. Still ahead on 13 News Daybreak.
We have some traffic trouble spots.
Yes,
it's been a tough Friday on the roads this morning. We'll check it again for you.
And a pretty cool view from our downtown sky view. You can see the sun breaking underneath some clouds that are pushing by overhead. I've got a chilly forecast for the weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about that next storm system for the middle of next week.
Up next on Good Morning America, the latest on the Westminster dog death mystery.
Did someone poison a prize-winning pup? GMA will have more on these allegations in just a few minutes, right after 13 News Daybreak. Stick around.
All right, yeah, we still have business to take care of here on the morning show at Hampton Roads because traffic is backed up in several spots. One more look at the 13 News Traffic Network, everybody. Naval Station, Norfolk. At least this is a better shot, but you can see still slow going out there. Problem there, a disabled vehicle.
You got that right. There's also slow-moving traffic for you on Interstate 64 near Norview Avenue. There was an accident out there near Chesapeake Boulevard in the westbound lanes that's causing this backup. And remember, there's a new exit ramp open right there on Norview Avenue to make getting to the airport easier for you.
And don't forget lifts and openings. You got one at the JRB coming up in 6 minutes at the Steel Bridge, 7:15. Check out the other times this morning. All right, Craig, how are we doing with the weather? What are you tracking right now?
Right now, things are good across the region. We have a clear radar. The temperatures are going to get cooler, mid-40s tomorrow and Sunday. Not terrible weather, but it is cool, and it stays cool for Monday, despite mostly sunny skies there. Tuesday, we'll see increasing clouds, and then our storm system comes through with a chance for rain on Wednesday. I'm expecting some wet weather. The exact storm track will determine how much rain we see where and how much cooler it may get on the backside. Chances for showers into Thursday, but next weekend, so a week from tomorrow, looking nice as well.
Awesome. All right, everybody, stay tuned with us all day long about the sequestration deadline.
Have a great weekend.